I'm going to go ahead and get started this morning. For those who have not met me yet, I haven't met all of you. I am Kristen Fredericks. I am the Digital Marketing Administrator for the company. I am going to talk to you today about your digital footprint. So we're going to talk about all the different places that you can be found online and how you can maximize that exposure and make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck, as it will, on your online profiles. Just as a reminder that this is being recorded, and today is June, is it June or July? It's July 13th, 2023. So some of the things I say today may have changed if you're looking at this down the line, but most of this information is going to be pretty universal, so hopefully it'll still be useful for you. Just as a reminder, it is better for our recordings if you can turn your cameras off and keep your mics muted. It helps us have a nice clean recording that we can put up on YouTube for you guys to reference later. If possible. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to use the raise hand button that is in Teams, or feel free to put it in chat. Joining me today is Haley. She is one of our training administrators, and she'll be monitoring the room and making sure that everybody gets in and any questions get answered. So thank you very much, Haley, for being here today for that. All right, so let's get started today with your digital footprint, a reflection of you online. I thought this was going to be a really timely class to do right now, because we are all going through this transition where we're looking at all of our different online profiles. We're looking at all the different things that need to be updated. We're looking at all the different ways that we can market ourselves online. And this is a good opportunity for us to all take a look at everything and make sure that all of our profiles are filled out and that we have everything that we need. So today, this is a lot about inspiration here and also just some best practices. And then after the class, I actually have another one after this. I'll make sure that Haley sends out the checklist and we'll get that uploaded to RWT Connect, hopefully by tomorrow. And that way you guys have a checklist that you guys can go down and make sure that you're covering all the different places where you might need to update your online profile as we go forward. All right, so let's get started today. We're going to talk about a couple of things here. So let's talk about where am I? These are only just a few examples of places that you're found online. All of these things include your website. It can include all of your different social media profiles. It can include your Google business pages and also just Google references in general. It can also include other search engines like Bing. Bing, as we're seeing a lot more because of the influence of course, Microsoft and their built-in products. We're seeing a lot more going on with the Bing search engines and browsers coming from Microsoft. Also things like your email signatures and all of your real estate search portals. You can be actually branded and have all of that information on all of your different real estate search portals as well. Your MLS profile, if you have not had a chance to take a look at your MLS profile and what is on all the different information that's available from your MLS, sometimes those are missed opportunities there for online branding and to make sure that people have the right information to contact you. So my pro tip is always to start with your name online. So literally just Google yourself and see what comes up. A lot of the things that are ranked are things that are going to be really important for you, and to be able to update and make sure that it's all the same, make sure that everything is filled out, and make sure that everything is where it needs to be. So let's start with our online profiles. These are probably the big three that we need to think about: our usernames, our company, and our email address. And of course, this is very, very timely right now, again, as we're all changing these names as we find them and making sure that we have all of our information. I want to start at the very top with those usernames. One of the reasons why usernames are so important is because a lot of what we do online is aggregated. So it means that we don't necessarily have the opportunity to say, this is my link for, this is my link for Facebook, this is my link for whatever other social media profile you have. Some of that information is aggregated, which means that the search engines are going out and they're saying, okay, this person's profile, Mary Agent, is obviously the same as this Mary Agent who's on Facebook, and this Mary Agent who's on Zillow, and this Mary Agent who's tied to an MLS, and this Mary Agent who has a Google profile. And it's trying to make all those connections because you can't always tell it that. We're seeing more and more of this where we don't have an opportunity to literally fill in a blank or a box that says, this is my link for, this is where you can also find me on. So having those universal usernames really helps. When we're working with an agent, especially in digital marketing, one of the first things we look at are all the different usernames. Usernames can be really old. Sometimes they don't fit you anymore. Sometimes they're usernames that came with you from another industry, especially if you're coming into real estate from another sales organization, or you're coming in from maybe another industry. We have a lot of teachers that have come in, for example, and their usernames aren't necessarily reflective of a real estate career. So we'd like to take a look at all the different usernames. So those usernames are things like what happens when you type in facebook.com/ whatever that username is, Mary Agent Realtor. It can be linkedin.com/ Mary Agent Realtor. It can be even your YouTube at things like youtube.com, and then your channel is Mary Agent Realtor. We like to see these usernames as similar or as identical as possible across all of your different platforms. It really makes it easier for you to rank in order on Google when somebody is searching you, to make sure that all of your profiles show up if somebody is searching you directly. But it really does help when a lot of these different websites and different search portals are trying to aggregate data and just trying to find things that are similar. Likewise, your company is really important. Right now, we're going through an exercise, of course, where everybody is updating all of their different company names, and every single person in the company has to do it. But this is a great opportunity to make sure that you are connected to the right company connections. For example, on LinkedIn, make sure that you're connected in your job, in your work experience, to BHHS RW Towne Realty. Make sure that you have that connection. Those kind of things become important in the future, because as other people in outside of our industry are going through LinkedIn, they're going to see that you may have other connections within the company to somebody else. There is strength and belonging to the company on LinkedIn as an organization in general, because it serves up similar types of content to people who might be looking at other people's content as well, who belong to the same organization. You also want to make sure that your name is updated everywhere. Again, just for that aggregate ability here. We want to make sure that if somebody is searching you, or as Google is kind of putting all their information together, that that company name is correct and it's the same and it is as similar as can be everywhere. Make sure that it's spelled out. Make sure that we're abbreviating it correctly if we have to. Some places are a little bit short, so we might have to use BHHS RW Towne Realty. Other places we have the opportunity to use Berkshire Hathaway Home Services RW Towne Realty. We're wanting to make sure that even when we're doing our company name, that it is in the right nomenclature. So RW without periods between it. We want to make sure that R and W is together, very similar to our actual doing business name. I know some of these things seem really mundane, but they're actually really important when it comes to your online profile and how people see you and how people find you. The third, I think, most important thing here is that email address. Yes, we know that all of our old email addresses are certainly forwarding to our new email addresses. But again, a lot of the aggregate data that's being brought in on you is based on email address. We want to make sure that people can contact us. We want to make sure that we have that correct branding. We want to make sure that we have that halo effect. So as the company is using rwtowne.com, we want to make sure that your email address also says rwtowne.com. Or if you're using a vanity email domain, we want to make sure that that vanity email domain, so Mary at maryagentrealtor.com, we want to make sure that that all matches all the way across the board. We want to make sure that everything is similar. We want to make sure that email address is the same in as many different places as possible. Again, it really does help with your ranking and how people find you online, but it also just helps with that consistency. All right, let's go into a couple of other things here. Some profile strategies. So as we're going through and we're filling out, we're making these changes, we're making sure everything is correct. These are other things that you can do in those online profiles that are going to be really important. And also, this is a great opportunity while you're making those changes and while you're doing this audit to fill out this information. A couple of really important things that some people miss. The descriptions and the bios. Nearly every online profile we have, whether it's on a website, in the MLS, in your different search portals, in your real estate search portals, in all of your different social media, have an opportunity to have some kind of description or bio. this is where you're going to make sure that you have that little elevator pitch. A lot of these areas are really short. You're only going to be able to put, 5 or 6 different sentences. The things that we want to cover in those sentences would be things like the service areas that you have, what you do, that you're a realtor, you help people buy and sell real estate, you help people buy and sell houses or homes. You want to make sure that you have those kind of descriptions and important keywords in that bio area. Now, some places do allow for a longer bio. That might be things like your website, even things like YouTube, when they have that larger about section where you can have a little elevator pitch that shows, but then you have a larger about section as well. You want to make sure that you have that longer bio in there as well. If you need help, by the way, figuring out what to write with your bio and description, do send a quick email over to marketing@rwtown.com. We do have a couple of really good resources that show you some best practices about making that description or bio for you. And you can see lots of real life examples of lots of different styles that will help you create that description or bio if you haven't had a chance to do it already. Another thing that we need to make sure that we have is our photo. I can't tell you the number of audits that we've done where we just see the history and progression of your entire real estate career in your photos online. So it can be things like you haven't changed the photo in LinkedIn, for example, in 10 years, but you've changed your profile on Facebook in the last 5, but you've changed the photo on your website last year. We want to make sure that that photo is going to be correct and universal all the way across the board. So again, when people go to recognize you online and when people are Googling you and making sure that they're checking all of your different profiles and they're just checking you out, we want to make sure that that photo is the same. That photo is also really important for another reason. As you upload your photo to different places, your photo is usually attached to a name of some sort. So when somebody is Googling and they pull up that photo, usually your name is on it somewhere. For example, if you upload your photo to your Google Business page profile, you can actually put a description in there that says Mary Jane, real estate agent in fill in the blank, whatever city you happen to be in. Those things are important because they become search terms for people searching on different things and looking at different photos and things like that throughout the internet. It actually helps with your search rankings. Most people wouldn't think about it, but it actually does because your name is usually attached to your photo. Another thing that we want to look at is all of our different channel art. Now, what do I mean by channel art? Channel is obviously just a description for anywhere art can be. So these are things like your backgrounds. For your social media. They can be backgrounds even for your website. They can be different logos and where that they appear. They can be all the little different headers and footers that you can put on your social media. We kind of want to have a consistent look across the board. And I know that it can be a little bit difficult to do this sometimes because you can say, I don't have the ability to create my channel art. Every time I go somewhere, it says they want, a 1080 by 925. I don't even know what that means. That's okay. That's why you have a marketing department. If you need help with your channel art, you can always put an order in with marketing and let us know, hey, I need a background for my YouTube channel, or hey, I need a Facebook cover photo and I want to make sure my logo's on it and I want a pretty picture of the waterfront or something like that. And that way you can try to keep all of your different channel arts consistent because we want people to have that universal or consistent experience when they go to your online profile. We want them to know that they have landed in the right spot. We also want to give them an idea of what you do. I love using channel art for things like a sign in a yard in front of a really great house. It says real estate. It usually has your contact information on it. It already has your branding on it. Usually has your phone number on it somewhere. And then you can put your name styling or the company logo on that. That is a great way to just have a universal channel art without having to have a lot of work done to it. So next time you have a really great listing, just go out and take a lot of different angles, maybe a couple of different sizes of that great sign in the yard. It always looks fabulous when you have a sold writer on it, of course. And then you can use that for your channel art going forward. It's a great opportunity there. Couple of other profile strategies here that we see. We're going to kind of get down into some of the things that you can do in your different profiles. We're going to want to make sure that all of our calls to action are filled out. Nearly every online profile you have has an opportunity for a call to action. So for example, your Facebook business page has an opportunity up in the cover photo for you to put a call to action. Now it's a drop down. It only lets you choose from a subset of calls to action. You can have click to call, you can have visit my website, you can have get more information where they're going to try to send you something. You can, if you're really active on it, you can even have somebody send you a messenger message on it, but you have lots and lots of different calls to action. Now, in places where you don't always have a call to action, you might want to put one. So for example, in your email signature, there are opportunities there to have just a single link that says, use this to search homes for sale, use this link to search homes for sale, or click here to see how much your home might be worth, and just put a link off to your home value site. There's lots of different ways to have calls to action. And what we're trying to do is just drive as much traffic as we can to our websites. We're trying to drive traffic to our social media profiles. We're trying to give people items of value, information of value. So for those of you who follow some of the schools of thought on sales of providing either information of value or items of value, those calls to action are so, so important. We just want people to be able to click through. We want people to be able to contact us easily. We want people to be able to click on buttons and just do what they need to do. So look for opportunities in your different profiles to either have those calls to action button turned on. And if you don't have a call to action button for whatever reason, a really obvious one, go ahead and make one and just put a link in your bio maybe, or put a link again in your email signature. Next thing we need to make sure that we have our service descriptions and areas filled out in the different places that we can. So we're seeing this probably more in things like your Zillow profiles or in your Google business pages, where they're asking, what do you do and where do you do it? Anytime you have an opportunity to fill those out, please do, especially in your Google business page. They're asking, what are you? So you are a real estate agent or you're a real estate consultant. They have descriptions if you are in property management or you handle rentals. They have service descriptions for things like first-time home buyers. They have a service description for new homes and development. So make sure that you are using those service descriptions. One real key thing with those service descriptions, a lot of times they go in priority order. So if you happen to come across, for example, property management first, but it's not your primary business, it's not what you do, you definitely handle a couple of rentals maybe, but your primary business is of course resale, then make sure that you're putting real estate agent as your first service description or category, and then you can put in the subsequent categories. We're finding that those are more important than ever, that they're defined by how you put them in and in what order you put them in. So just be conscious of that when you start to come across those service descriptions. We're also seeing a lot more emphasis on hyperlocal data. This really started in 2019 and 2020, and it just went crazy during lockdown, where people were looking for that hyperlocal connection for things because we were all at home. We needed very local resources for things. You saw more and more emphasis on your actual service areas. So any opportunity that you have to define what your service areas are is really important. Go ahead and put those big key locations in there. You'll find that service area and service descriptions and things like, again, Zillow, your Google business profile, even your Facebook business page now has all of those different options to put in what your services and areas are. Really helps when people are searching by generic terms like find a realtor, find a real estate agent, and they happen to be logged into Google. It's tagging where their profile is. They know their location, and they're going to start serving up real estate agents or real estate information that's from those very specific areas. And last but certainly not least, we want to take a look at keywords and hashtags. So as you're going through all of this, keep an eye out for those keyword opportunities and those hashtag opportunities. So some of you have hashtags that you use based on a tagline or based on your name, hashtag Mary Agent Realtor, hashtag your coastal real estate expert, hashtag whatever it happens to be. Also take a look for hashtags that are super local, that are used really often. For those of us in the southeastern Virginia area, hashtag HRVA is a huge hashtag. It's really popular. Hashtag OBX for those of you who are in North Carolina. You're certainly going to want to look out for some of those hashtag opportunities where it might be able to bring you some more business, just be able to bring some more eyes onto some of your different profiles. But I want to focus on that other piece here for keywords. Think about your keywords as you're starting to write out your descriptions, as you're starting to write out some of your calls to action, even some of your service descriptions. What are people searching by in order to find a realtor? What are keywords that are really important? So things like, if you specialize, for example, in waterfront homes for sale, you might want to put something like, I serve a particular area specializing in waterfront homes for sale, or homes for sale at the oceanfront, or homes for sale in Virginia Beach. If I were a realtor and not behind the scenes, I would certainly specialize in equestrian properties or rural properties. That would be my specialty if I happen to have a license. You want to go ahead and put kind of the things that people are searching on. So think as a consumer instead of a realtor. How to sell my home. I can show you how to sell your home. Things like that are different keywords that you can put in your bios and descriptions and things like that that will help be able to really define for Google what you do, where you do it. So it kind of all comes together. All right, so I want to take a look just for the last couple of minutes here at a couple of live examples, and we can kind of see how some of this kind of all comes together in different opportunities here. And give me a second while I switch my screens here. All right. So I've picked a couple of examples here. One is a big team and one is a local realtor. These are BHHS agents. They just happen to be in a slightly different market because I wanted to show you a couple of different examples of how some of this works, just to kind of give you an idea. So this is Jody Halpert. She's down with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Georgia Properties. When I search for her, things that are coming up are things like her Google business profile. Notice that she has a great branding piece here, and that will actually continue on all the way through her different channel art. She's gone ahead and taken her name styling. She's taken a background photo and of course her company logo. And you'll see that this is a pretty universal style going all the way through. All I've done is popped in her name right here, and you can see just the things that are important that have come up for her. And of course, this is going to be different for everyone, but these are the places and things and tags that have come up for this particular person. So of course, she has a website and it's coming up. So she's Jody Halpert at bhhsgeorgia.com right here. And it's going to have all of some of her information. There's her photo. Her photo is fairly similar all the way through the internet. We're going to see some old photos in here, but that's okay. It looks like she's updated it in most of the different places. So this is starting to fill out her BHHS profile. This is the profile that's up in the BHHS resource. So again, this is her local company coming up first, and then this is her BHHS profile coming up second. And as I continue to scroll down, we'll get back to that Google business page in just a second, but I want you to see the things that might be important for her to make sure that she has filled out. So the next thing that's coming up for her is realtor.com. When we go into our realtor.com profile, we know for sure that we can update certain things in it. If you log in to realtor.com, you can pop in your service areas. This information here is going to be pretty universal. You're only going to be able to put in your name and some of your information, but you can have an opportunity to put in some bio. Of course, there's some reviews in here as well. Here's that Zillow profile. So she probably has a really similar bio page on here for her Zillow. She's going to want to make sure, again, those service areas are filled out, that she has all of her bio information in here. Her company is correct. Make sure that she has her website link in here. Make sure that everything and everywhere that people could find her would be in here. The interesting thing about some of these Zillow profiles, and I will say, especially as we all go through this transition, is that your company name in Zillow doesn't automatically change. You actually have to go into your profile and change it. It's one of the really interesting things about it. So if you haven't had an opportunity to log into your profile yet as a realtor, do go in and update your company name and update your company information and your website and make sure that all of your information is correct. Scrolling on down, we see her LinkedIn here. So we know this is her because she has her service area filled out. We know she's coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. We know that she's with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Georgia Property. So we know that this is the right person. And again, we have those bio opportunities. We have those opportunities to connect in with our own company. This is where it gets interesting here, is that her name, she actually went with a different username on here. So instead of the Jody Halpert Realtor, which she's used everywhere else, she's used ATL Realtor. That may be because it was an older name. It may be that Jody Halpert Realtor was already taken by another realtor in another area. Not entirely sure, but it was the one change she made between all of her different profiles where that wasn't identical to other things that she's used. As we continue again to scroll on down, here's where we come against her MLS profile. And again, homes.com, some luxury real estate. And then we get down into some of her Facebook information here. And I can tell that she doesn't have her Facebook stuff completely filled out because it's so far down. Normally, we don't see Facebook this far down in the list, but it's usually because a lot of the information hasn't been filled out correctly. And we get down here, she hasn't gone with her Jody Halpert Realtor. She's actually gone with a shortened version of this for her Twitter. So it's making a little bit of a difference in how people find her. And again, there's her YouTube channel. So I want to go back up here because I want you to see on the Google Business pages, because this is becoming a kind of a big thing for us right now, that we want to make sure that we have all of this information correct. So here she is, and she has her company and she has her name. This is perfect. She has some reviews. She's a real estate agent in Dunwoody, Georgia. Now, the interesting thing for me is that every other place that she's online says Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I know Dunwoody is just north of Georgia, and I know it's or Atlanta, and I know it's basically the same area. But I have to wonder, when she did her profile, did she pick Dunwoody first over Atlanta on purpose, or is it just because she picked it first and didn't necessarily pick Atlanta, and it's picking up the Dunwoody instead? Okay, we have her office address, so her office is definitely there. And then her information, scroll down here. This question came up the other day, reviews from the web. Did you know that you cannot put this link in your Google Business Pages? That this is an aggregate? So basically Google Business Pages said, oh, I know who Judy Halpert is. And oh yeah, she has reviews on Zillow. And it has already connected her Zillow profile to it. And it's because it was able to identify her from Zillow. There are lots of other review sites that it will connect here if it can find you. Just so you know, this is not something she can do. It's because it's aggregated. So of course she continues on down here with her reviews. This is her about section. So she definitely has it filled out. A lot of people don't fill this out, but a lot of this is going to match, of course, her other information that's on here. Again, we have an opportunity to just do some posts. A lot of these are service posts that you see on your Google Business page. This is aggregated information again, your profile links right here. So the Google profile has been able to find her on Twitter and has been able to associate her and on Instagram. But I think it's really interesting that it has not found her on Facebook. Remember I said on this list here that that Facebook link was really far down compared to what I normally see it. So something has gone on with either her username or her about section, or something has gone on where Google has not been able to say, hey, this is definitely her, which I find is really interesting. So if I were her marketing person, I would be having her take a look at that profile to see what we could do to make sure that it linked in here as well. So I want to take a look again at a totally different company here. This is Home Sweet Heidi. Home Sweet Heidi is a big team. They are just south of us outside of Raleigh with BHHS down there. And that's the BHHS that has 5 different names, and I can never remember what order they're in. But you can see that this is, again, somebody looking at Home Sweet Heidi, and I want to show you some different branding opportunities that they've done here. Her website, homesweetheidi.com. This is her Google Business page. So Home Sweet Heidi Realty, she has her logo, she has her team. Her signature color is pink, and you will find that pretty quickly in here. As we scroll down, her Instagram, Home Sweet Heidi, her Facebook, Home Sweet Heidi. Notice how high this is. This is where I would expect this to be. Lots of different things. Her videos by Home Sweet Heidi. Images, Home Sweet Heidi, Home Sweet Heidi, Home Sweet Heidi in here. YouTube, there's her username right there, Home Sweet Heidi. Everything is branded, and look how high these are all ranking, one after another, to make sure that they find that team. This is the kind of consistency we're looking for when you're working with your online profiles, when you're auditing everything, and when you're trying to make everything consistent and really updated. This is, again, is the opportunity to do this while we're going through all these name changes. But you can see what happens here and how easy it is to find her. And really, we're not seeing any other competitors in here. We're seeing everything that's really about her business. She's really managing that name, and she's really managing her online profile correctly. Even her Nextdoor profile is Home Sweet Heidi. Her Giphy is Home Sweet Heidi. Issue is Home Sweet Heidi. All of these things are Home Sweet Heidi. Okay. So let's go back up and let's take a look at what happened to that Google Business profile because of that consistency. Again, we have some photos in here. We have some logos. We're seeing Home Sweet Heidi. She has her Google reviews. Lots of things are filled out. She's in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is true. Everything is filled out in here. It's starting to bring in her reviews from the web. So it has been able to find her Facebook ones, and it's bringing those in. It's not bringing in her Zillow, which I find is really interesting. but I noticed that Zillow is not showing up for her. So one of two things has happened. She has either made a conscious decision not to support it because it is a competing brokerage, or it's labeled differently and it doesn't know how to connect it. She has lots of different reviews in here. And again, here she is with her bio. And I love this. If you're curious about what your home's estimated value is, you've come to the right place. She starts right out with that call to action. And if we continue on down, it'll actually show different links to her home value site that she can do. But I want you to see here, it's been able to find even more profiles for her. So for her, because of her consistency, it's found the profiles on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, and it's been able to connect it all. Again, this is aggregated data. It needs to be able to find all this to make this profile really robust. These are the kind of things that we want to see. The nice thing about this, though, is that in all of these different social media profiles as well, if I were to go to her Facebook, I know that I will find links to her website. I will find links to her Instagram. I will find links to her LinkedIn. I will find all sorts of different links that are in there. Again, in LinkedIn, if I go there, I will find links to her website. So we're seeing lots of cross-linking in all sorts of different places. And part of that is how Google, again, aggregates it and makes sure that it is identifying the right person and serving up the information that somebody wants to see. I wanted to show just a couple of quick examples of things where some of your profile might come in handy that you might not necessarily think about putting that call to action. So again, these are just examples. We're not going to go into every single profile and every single opportunity that we have, just because I want to show you kind of some of the hidden things that you might not think about. So I've logged into Rain. I know not everybody in here uses Rain as their primary, but that's okay because just about every MLS that we use, and we use a lot of them, has the same type of thing in their different portals. So I'm logged into Rain here, and I'm going to go to my name, and I'm going to go to settings. Now, this might be a little bit different depending on your interface. Again, not every MLS uses Matrix to be able to log in, but you do have a profiler settings section somewhere in those MLSs. I'm just showing you this as an example. And hopefully this isn't timed me out. Perfect. So I'm going to go over here to my information, and I'm going to take a look at this section. And a lot of people have never looked at this section at all. But in here, it's giving me a lot of different opportunities to double check my branding. Now, I'm a staff person, so I haven't necessarily had to update all of this for my public facing clients yet. So I will be the first one to admit that I need to go ahead and update some of this information. But this is a good opportunity for you to see that some of this information can be updated. So you'll notice that some of this is going to come from the roster. Some of this is going to have to be updated at the MLS, but you have lots of different branding opportunities here. So if you haven't had a chance to put in your team name, or you don't have your titles, or you don't have some other phone numbers that you're looking for available in your profile, go ahead and fill them in. Things like your headers and footers. So these are for when you send out Rain notifications. A lot of you use your website instead for this, but there are headers and footers in this area as well. We want to make sure that all of this information is filled out and correct. We want to make sure that it's reflective of the brand that we would like to use. If I don't sell the beach, I don't necessarily want to use this beach chairs version. Maybe I want to go ahead and scroll down and maybe do something with golf or a high-end home, whatever it happens to be. There's lots of different options here, but you can see that this information is pulling directly from that online profile. And if it wasn't updated, we would be putting out wrong information. You even have things like your email signature in here where you're able to pop in more information. I don't have anything in mind, but you're certainly able to put in some more calls to action in here, make sure that all of your information is filled out. And of course, for those of you who are using One Home, making sure that you have your photo in here, making sure that all of your information is filled out. You can even put your title and content and a small video link in here now. So you want to make sure that this branding is filled out. Again, I'm only using the MLS as an example of something where we don't necessarily think about having branding in an online profile, but this is certainly one place where we have an opportunity to maybe just put a few extra things in there just to get some more branding opportunities and more calls to action. I'm going to go up here, and I'm in RWT Connect right now. I happen to be logged in as my training account, but I want to show you another section here where we have some opportunities. As you know, in RWT Connect and in BHHS Resource and in Marketing Resource, we're able to send out things like e-cards and newsletters. All of that branding comes from our online profile. So we're going to want to make sure that all of this information is filled out and correct. And if anything isn't correct, and by the way, if it's grayed out in here, just send a quick note to web support or to marketing, and we'll be happy to add some more designations in here if we need to for your custom title and things like that. We want to make sure all of our information is correct. We want to make sure our phone numbers are correct. We want to make sure that our photo is up to date. Usually it is, because this is all stuff that's coming from marketing. But one of the things that people often miss is if you click that photo again, you'll see a little box that says signature. This is the signature that shows up on the bottom of every single email that goes out from this particular system. So from RWT Connect. So if you happen to be sending things like property notifications through Property Watch, or you happen to be sending email or e-cards, this is the signature that goes out. Now this comes in directly from that profile that we just looked at. So it's going to pop in things like our social media accounts. If we have them linked in that profile, it's pulling in that phone number that's right there. It's pulling in our email address and our website address. It's pulling in all of that information that's in our profile. We want to make sure that's correct. But if we wanted to add some calls to action or some custom calls to action in here, we certainly can. This is the standard email signature, but we do have an opportunity to customize it as well. So if I click custom, it's going to bring in my standard signature. So we definitely don't want to mess this up, but we have an opportunity to maybe put some additional information in here. Maybe we want to have that click here to search for more properties. Maybe we want to put a call to action. Maybe we want to put a hashtag, or we want to put a tagline or something like that. Something that the profile wouldn't necessarily bring in automatically, but it would certainly help with our online presence and just kind of consistency branding. So do take a look at things like that. These are, again, just examples. You don't have to do this one, but take a look for all of those kind of hidden branding opportunities where you have an opportunity to make some consistency and also make sure that the information that you're putting out is correct. So we've covered a lot today. And again, most of this was to start you on your journey of having a checklist to make sure that all your information is correct. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. And if not, keep an eye out for, again, that checklist. We'll try to have that up onto RWT Connect by tomorrow, and you guys can go forth and hopefully get all of your stuff corrected and filled out as much as possible and get that great consistency look. Are there any questions?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi. This is Lisa Tucky in Williamsburg. How do I get my professional Facebook site to show up on Google? I Google myself and it goes to my personal Facebook site.
So that means that that's that consistency again. So it's a matter of building out your professional one with even more information, more real estate information, making sure that that username matches, making sure that you're sharing that professional Facebook page even more than your personal one. It just means paying more attention to that professional one than your personal one.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess I don't know how to do that. Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. If there's no additional questions, we'll go ahead and end this session today. And I thank you very much for spending your morning with me. And hopefully some of you will stick around for the 11 o'clock session as well. Thank you so much.